Welcome to our Multidisciplinary Investigative Team, more commonly known as MDIT. We're excited to have you join the team. The purpose of a multidisciplinary investigative team is to coordinate representatives from law enforcement, child protective services, medical providers, mental health providers, victim advocates, MDT leadership, and CAC staff to collaborate on civil and criminal child abuse cases. Our hope for this multidisciplinary investigative team orientation video is to orient you on your role and each team member's role within the MDIT team by hearing from each team member within these disciplines and how multidisciplinary investigative team is instrumental in their investigations. We also hope for you to see by following the multidisciplinary investigative team approach, we see more successful outcomes civically and criminally, and it also reduces the trauma to the children and their protective caregivers by having strong supports from each discipline. In addition to our multidisciplinary investigative team orientation video, you will need to review West Virginia State Code, your discipline's protocol, Hero Haven's Child Advocacy Center's protocol, and national reaccreditation standards. Please feel free to reach out to any MDIT member with questions, concerns, or if you need support. And lastly, welcome to the family.
My name is Alicia Medea. I am the Executive Director of the Harrison County CASA program. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate. CASA is appointed to children that are in the abuse and neglect proceedings. So we are attached to children that do have abuse allegations that perhaps are being revisited with the multidisciplinary team. So in our role, we get to know the children very well and are actively involved. So within the confines of confidentiality, we're able to share with the team, updates on the child or the children and family, and perhaps help with planning, testifying in court or things of that nature. We can provide input or assist in those things with connecting the child and the team.
My name is Alana Claypool. I'm a family advocate with Heroes Haven Child Advocacy Center. A family advocate works with the family or the protecting caregivers, whether that's parents or foster parents, relatives, what have you. We work with them to walk them through the whole process of CPS, criminal cases, those kind of things. We connect them with resources, and we're really there just as a support person for the family. My role in the multidisciplinary investigative team is kind of unique. Because I work so directly with the families, I'm able to get their needs directly from them and bring it to the team, almost like a representative of the family to them, which might be a little bit different from CPS or law enforcement prosecutors where they're on an investigative side. I'm more working with the family's direct needs.
My name's Andrew Phillips. I'm the prosecuting attorney in Barber County. As prosecuting attorney, we help coordinate with the MDIT and the CAC here. With our law enforcement officers, CPS, anytime there's an initial report, whether it be them scheduling things with the CAC or just the fact that the incident occurred, coming to the MDIT and it being discussed among all the team members to coordinate the proper investigation, or whether it needs referred here for a forensic interview or what other actions need taken. For the forensic interviews that are conducted here, we try to make sure at least one member of our office is here at every interview, whether it be myself, Mr. Keith Skeen, the assistant prosecutor, or Ms. Kelsey Gross, our other assistant prosecutor.
I'm Corey Farr. I'm an advocate here at Heroes Haven Child Advocacy Center. My role as an advocate is to make sure that families have all of the resources that they need so that they're not worried about things like clothing and housing and food while they're also healing from trauma. So my role before an interview is to meet with the family and make sure that they are comfortable in our center. We want families to come in and feel like they are welcome and they can come in and have a snack or a drink and just get settled in and make sure that they're acclimated to our center. And then during an interview, I meet with the families, the non-offending caregivers, and we go over basic information like where the child might go to school and what allergies they might have, just different things. Make sure we have all of their information to contact them. And then I work with the parents or caregivers and make sure that we connect them with all resources like therapy or medical resources that they might need, or anything else that they might be lacking or needing in their lives. We try to connect them with, if we can't help them, we find people that we can connect them with that can help them with those certain needs. After an interview, we follow up with the families periodically and just keep up with them, make sure that all of their needs are being met, that they're making it to therapy, and if there are any roadblocks to getting to the resources that they need. I help non-offending caregivers communicate with our MDIT team. You know, sometimes the CPS worker might be out of the office, you know, they're always out doing, and a lot of times I'm here in the office, so I'm easier to contact.
I'm Gary Weaver with the Bridgeport Police Department. The law enforcement role before the interview is it's basically simple. You know, a lot of times we take the initial report or get the initial complaint, and we kind of look into it from there, then setting up with a CAC interview, you know, trying to get the kids to get all the pertinent information that we need and everything. During the interviews, our role would be, you know, to sit there to gather the information, you know, and then afterwards is to follow up on the information. The big role that we have involved in the MDIT or even in these types of investigations as law enforcement, we're the finders of fact. And so we have to go through, sort out what is, what isn't. We look for, you know, any type of anything that has evidentiary value, and try to get everything together to find out if there is possibly criminal aspect to it or not.
My name is Jordan Westfall, and I have been a Child Protective Service worker here in Harrison County for 5 years this month, actually. So my job in the MDIT process is I go out on referrals initially, and I make face-to-face contact with children and the families out in the community once I get a referral. And then I make a referral either here or to law enforcement, and then I bring my knowledge of that situation here to the team members, and bring the history and the knowledge and what I've learned through any type of previous referrals or facts or information, old court hearings or anything like that, and bring that all to the table essentially. At the forensic interview, myself and law enforcement will essentially observe the forensic interview, take notes, and then if we have to implement any kind of safety plan to ensure a child's safety, we can do that here at the Child Advocacy Center, or have a conversation with the child or the child's protective caregivers, and then we can do that at the home afterwards, or we can let them go home with family members. And then afterwards, we can also implement emergency custody or whatever needs to be put into place.
My name is Kelly Bowman. I am the lead forensic interviewer at Heroes Haven Child Advocacy Center. So a forensic interviewer is a piece of the puzzle in law enforcement and child protective services investigations that provides a non-biased fact-finding interview for law enforcement and child protective services. So the forensic interviewer's role during the multidisciplinary investigative team meeting, after we have provided the interview, we give minimal information as to what that child disclosed. So if they, disclose something about a type of abuse, we give minimal facts during the MDIT based on what the child's disclosed in the interview.
My name is Kim Nicholson. I work for Hope Incorporated Task Force on Domestic Violence. I am the SART coordinator, the Sexual Assault Response Team coordinator, and the community liaison. We at Hope are not allowed to speak at the MDITs unless we have a written release from our client, because we have such a strict level of confidentiality. So I kind of sit silent and listen at the MDIT meetings. We can come here with clients. We are not a part of the interview at all, but we can come and be with clients as a support system. We work with the client on any needs that they have concerning this, the forensic interview, or concerning any other aspects of their life. Once you're a client of Hope's, you're always a client of Hope's. So we look at the full picture, not just this snippet. We look at the full picture, and we do referrals, or we get out there and do the footwork on what that client needs. Then we work closely with the other agencies so we can make sure that the family is fully supported and all of their needs are met to be able to get through the tough time that they're going through and come out with a better end and a new life.
My name is Meredith Linger. I am the Forensic Nurse Examiner Coordinator for WVU Medicine's Ruby Memorial Hospital and Children's Hospital. I typically will connect with the patient and or the families once they have presented to the hospital. The team will refer to us in a variety of ways. It could be direct communication to one of the forensic nurse examiners themselves. It could also be indirectly if the patient presents and based upon the concerns or based upon the physical presentation of the child, the medical responders or the other hospital staff may also get us involved. My role in the monthly case reviews, the multidisciplinary investigative team meetings, is to provide medically based insight into the cases that we are reviewing.
My name is Tammy Morgan-Hamner, and I'm a licensed psychologist. When children are identified with concerns, their families and children are identified with concerns, then I make observations and recommendations for how best to meet their mental health needs. Typically, I'm not involved in the forensic process until after the interview is completed. I then am a part of the MDITs, where we consult regarding the cases, we staff the cases, talk about what's occurring, what's needed, and what other team members need to be a part.
My name is Tammy Hatfield, and I am a CPS worker in Barber County. So my role on the MDIT when we have monthly meetings is to come and discuss with the team our ongoing cases and things that are being investigated. Before we do an investigation, it's my role, if I'm doing those, to have information about the case, about the family, about the children, and then that way I can bring that into the interview and talk with the team so we have an idea of what we're looking for whenever we're doing these interviews. So after the interview, we take our information back to our offices and we're continuing to investigate. And we put that together to see if abuse and neglect has occurred and if we would open a CPS case or not.
My name is Betsy Coffey. I am currently the Doddridge County Prosecuting Attorney. I am responsible for the MDIT in the county. And in that role, one of the things that I do is I designate the members of the MDIT in the county. The way we get to the forensic interview happens a couple different ways. A couple times we've had kids who are referred to us through law enforcement. So a case is already initiated and arrest is made, and so we hustle to get that child into a forensic interview. That's here at the CAC, and then post-interview, we're able to use that as evidence in a case. Sometimes it's not that simple. Sometimes a referral will come in from CPS. Sometimes the referral will come in from the school. And then it's my job to decide whether or not a referral needs to be made in addition to the CPS and the law enforcement referral to the CAC for a forensic interview. And that's dependent on several things, what the nature of the referral is. So if is it sexual abuse, is it child abuse, is it something that we need to preserve evidence? And so we would make that referral to the CAC and get that child here as quickly as possible. During the interview, one of my staff or myself comes and participates in that interview. We observe from a separate room, and we will speak with the interviewer in between different things, in between questions, if we seem to be missing anything, They will come and consult with us, and there's a team in that room. So usually law enforcement and CPS is in there with me or my assistant prosecutor, and we will be able to make those suggestions. And then the interviewer is the one who's trained to make sure that those questions are asked appropriately. But we can help direct that interview so that we get the information that we absolutely need for a criminal investigation versus an abuse neglect investigation, because sometimes those questions look very different.
The first piece of advice I would give for just anybody on an MDIT would be to communicate, but be respectful about things. We are a team. You should feel comfortable bringing what you have to the table.
Take the time to get to know each other's role. Take the time to get to know what the agencies do. Spend time at their agency, perhaps. The more you understand each other, the more you know the services they provide, the better services you're going to provide to children. So when I understand what the Heroes Haven Child Advocacy Center does, then I understand, when I should reach out to the Child Advocacy Center or with law enforcement or prosecution. When you understand each of those things, and also with other victim service providers, whenever we understand their roles, we're more likely to give a victim that opportunity and do those soft handoffs to make sure that those victims have a holistic approach to the services, and that we're not working in silos, but we're kind of linking arms and making sure that the best interest of the children is always at the forefront. If I had any advice to give future members of MDITs or current members who want to get more involved with their MDIT, I would say to be open to the different perspectives. Realize that you are all coming from different disciplines. And so what I'm looking at in a case is very different than what a sheriff's deputy may be looking at when they look at the case, or the forensic interviewer may be looking at, or a HOPE advocate. We're coming from all different directions.
Know the protocols, know what you're doing, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to work with everyone. Everyone has a different expertise, and you need to take all those resources and put them together and work with everything. And if there is something you don't know, there's people out there and stuff that do know it and can point everyone in the right direction. But being able to work together with everyone, and there's times that there's headbutting goes on and everything like that, but you have to be strong enough to overcome that and to work because you're doing what's best for the victim.
What you know is really important to the other team members, even if it's just a very small piece of information about a court hearing or a past piece of information that could help the next team member sitting next to you with their case. And it might be very small information, but it could be a big break in a case. So I just think that's really important.
My advice to future multidisciplinary investigative team members would be to keep the lines of communication as open as possible. It has been my experience that there is nothing that is more beneficial, nothing that is more helpful or puts the team at a better level of success than having good rapport with each other, as well as just keeping those lines of communication open.
So the advice I would give to future team members would be to be flexible and understanding of your team and all of their needs. And part of being in the team helps you understand why perhaps a CPS worker hasn't made a phone call back to you because they've been overrun by all the other cases that are happening. So just be flexible and understanding.
The advice that I would give is to embrace the CACs and the MDIT process. They're here for support. Every team member on it. So whenever you make a good relationship with this team, you can call on them and be able to have that extra support. So embrace it.
I'm always telling our team members that, take your vacations, take your days off, use your sick days, because we work in an emotional job. Like, all of our jobs are very emotionally charged, and it's important that we're able to get that time to ourselves and be there for our own mental health.
The advice that I would give to other team members is to keep an open mind, to engage, interjecting where you can and helping to just better things for those clients. That's what we're here for. We're here to make a better outcome. My hope for families is to be free from violence.
My hope for anybody dealing with or recovering from abuse, ultimately what we're working toward is putting everything back together, working to fix whatever issues brought them into the system, to hopefully resolve those issues, and to reunify the families. That's always the ultimate goal in these types of proceedings. So I would hope that we could reach that.